Hi guys, this is a sneak peek of how the kimono looks like and how to make it. Basically, I'm just showing you how the fabric looks like and the length, the width, and how I actually arrive at my folding, how I cut out the fabric. So this fabric comes in 6 yards, but I'm gonna be using only 2 yards of this pieces for my project, and that is basically how I'm gonna show you how I calculated it and how I cut it. So this comes in 34 inches in a yard by 44 inches length, so it's wide by 34. So basically I'm gonna cut out the 2 yards I need out of the 6 yards for the project that I'm making now and keep the rest for other projects. So now I have the 2 yards I need, and now I'm going to tear it into 2 equal halves. And after tearing it into 2 equal halves, then I need to place it the right side against the right side and then fold it into 4 places. That means I'm going to fold it into 2. So this is what I mean by right side against right side. So you need your ruler, your tape, your chalk, your scissors, and your sewing machine for this project. And when you're done, just make sure you lay everything well, right side against right side. And you need your shoulder measurement, your bust measurement, and your length measurement for this. So now I'm folding it into 2. That means I have 4 pieces against each other. Now I'm just checking if everything is well laid, and then we can now start making our measurements. So this is me just checking if everything is well laid before I start taking my measurement. And yeah, it's very nice to check everything because anything you make on the other side is going to show underneath. So now you are going to measure your length, cross check the length of the fabric, and then start taking your measurement. So now I'm going to drop it by 1 inch and then mark 3 inches on the next side. From the 3 inches I connect it to the 1 inches point, and just make my shoulder line slant. And after that, then you take your measurement and then measure your shoulder, which was 17 inches, and then I mark it. So after that, I'm gonna measure my armhole, which I use 10 inches for this. It depends on how wide you want it to be, but 10 inches was majorly okay for me. You can use above 10 inches, but 10 is okay for this measurement I am using. And then I measured my bust divided by 4 is 9.5. I'm adding 5 inches to it for ease, so it looks all nice. And then I mark it. At that point I am taking a curve, connecting it to my 10 inches that I marked at my armhole, and then I just mark the 14.5 all through to where I can connect it to my bust line. And it's just like a straight box mark which you can use, and then you just connect a straight line across all the sides. So now I'm going down by 1.5 inches and connecting it to my 3 inches that I have on my neckline. and I'm gonna cut it out first, because we are cutting 4 pieces on together, and then when we cut it out, we can now decide to bring out our four, the one for the front and the one for the back, separate it. So yeah, I am making a straight line to confirm that everything on the sides are okay, and then cutting out the neck parts and the slants, and then making sure everything is okay. So make sure your fabric is well laid at this point, because any mistake you make now is going to reflect in your sewing. And this is just me making everything all straight and well trimmed up, so I can have a well neatly and nicely cut kimono, which I'm sure you guys also want to have. And then I'm just making up my cuff at that point and cutting it all with the nice knot. So when you're done cutting, what you need to do is to separate the pieces that you have. Now you have 2 pieces all laid on each other. What you need to do is to separate it. Then you have your front and then you have your back. So at this point, I'm going to take out one piece, which is going to be my back side of the fabric, and then I can now recut the other one, which is going to be my front panel of my kimono. So I'm just again make sure everything is well laid, and then I can now measure the side of my front. So now this is my front panel. I was trying to measure 10 inches here down, but I'm going in by 1 inches from my center piece, my center front, and then I'm gonna try to connect it from the front. Yeah, from that down part I'm measuring like 8 inches. It doesn't really matter, but just take your ruler and then make like a slanted line to your center front, and then connect here. I am trying to like connect it, check the measurements, and then trying to connect it to my 1 inches that I made from the down part. Just make it straight. Yeah. So at this point, you just want to make sure that everything is well nicely laid, and then you can now cut it out. Check it out before you cut it out, guys, because this is very important. Because once you make a mistake on your cutting of fabric, is that you have to reduce your sizes, and then you're having to patch this and patch that. So at this point, our kimono is 50% done, because we are done with cutting, and then we are going to move to the sewing part. So at this point, your kimono is actually 50% done. Now this is my front panel is done, and my back panel is also done. Now I am just showing you guys that I have to go to the machine and join the shoulders, and then come to measure my neckline where I'm gonna have my collar. So this is what I am doing. I'm trying to measure the neckline where I have my collar. So it's from the down part of your front panel all the way around to your back neckline, and then to the other side of your front panel. So now I'm gonna take the other fabric and try to measure out my collar. So now I'm going to fold it into two. Remember the panel you measured out at the front through the back. You have to fold it and then calculate what you need. So I am making it in 4 inches, 4 inches, which is going to eventually give me 2 inches because it's going to be folded. So you need to cut out 4 inches, and then the length, so you're going to cut out 4 inches and as much as you need for your collar. That is, the 4 inches is the width, and then as much as you can cut out for the length of the collar that you need. So yeah, I'm just marking out the 4 inches and connecting it to get the length of my collar at the front. At this point, you need to measure it, and then you have to join it and take it to your sewing machine, join it, and then you have to iron it. So this is what the finished look looks like after joining and ironing it. And then we have to attach it to our kimono. So this is how it looks like on the middle side. That's where the joining, so you can see it's neatly joined, and it really shows that it was actually joined. So now I'm actually going to be adding it to my kimono at this point. So I placed the collar in between the fabric so I can have a clean finish, because I noticed the fabric was fraying and I didn't have a seizure, neither can I also make it neat, and so I decided to use this method to join my collar. So guys, I placed the collar in between the fabric from the right side, you can see, and then I started sewing it bit by bit till I got to the end of the other side of the fabric. So this is how it looks like. Just put it there and then fold it a bit, just like half inches. You can also go over your ironing board and do this, and then come back to your sewing machine to sew it so it's neat. But because I'm quite good with it, I just use my hand to do it. But if you feel like it's shaking, you can go over the ironing board and iron it first before doing this part, because it kind of makes it easier for you and it gives you a clean finish. Trust me guys, this method is the best, especially if you don't have a serger, which you also call as weaving machine. Now I just want to finish it, and you can see it. I'm just gonna push out the collar to the front and then double stitch on it, and guys, that is all. I am so obsessed with this finishing. I mean, it is so clean, and you don't even need an extra machine. You just need your sewing machine to make this clean stitch. Like, I'm so obsessed with it. It's so clean. And then you just go all the way round down till you get to the other end. For this stage, you can also decide to go to your ironing board to iron it down. depending on what you want to do, but I just did mine straight. Just make sure that if you're not going to the ironing board, you're using your hand to straighten it, and then you are doing it right. Make sure all the rough edges are well covered. Obviously they're going to be well covered. And at this point we're done, guys. Look at that, it's so neat. So now we are done with that. Now we want to go over to the sleeve and fold it. I'm just going to fold it by 1 inch, and 1 inch in total, but half inch at first and then half inch laterwards. So guys, that is it, half, and then you take 1 inch and then you fold it into 2, which is going to be half inch at the end of the way. Once again, guys, I would recommend you go over your ironing board with this if you're very new to sewing, because it just makes everything easier for you and you don't need to stress yourself. So you fold into half inch and then fold into another half inch again, and then you'll have a clean stitch, and which you can go over to your sewing machine, and then you make it very clean and it's easier for you because you don't have to stress. So if you're a beginner, your iron is always your friend. I know it can be stressful, but then you want a clean finish. So when we're done with the sleeve, we're just going to go over to joining the bodies. Now we're joining the side seams, but we're using French seams because we don't have a serger, and it's the best I can think of right now. So I'm going to join with 1/4 inch and then sew it all the way down, then come down and trim it again and turn it the other way around, so I can have my normal stitch but a very clean stitch. The free inside of the fabric is not going to show at all because of me using this kind of stitch. And that's gonna be all, and I'm gonna just go over and hem the down part of the kimono, and that's it. It's done. Thank you for watching. Kindly like, subscribe, and comment, and I see you guys in my next video. Bye.